What up? What up? What up? You were looking at this face and listening to this voice. You were tuned in to the best kept secret in sports talk. I'm your friendly neighborhood smoking. You are officially on the hot seat. And what do we do on the hot seat? Say it with me. We set somebody's ass on fire. And who better to set ablaze the goddamn Florida State Seminoles, right? So, without any further ado, man, paying homage to the ghost over my left and my right shoulder. I know y'all came here for the gospel. And goddamn it, I'm going to give it to you. Ding ding, classes in session. So, Florida State made history again this past Friday by losing to the Duke Blue Devils for the first time in program history. Congratulations to the Florida State Seminoles for making history and embarrassing the shit out of us. I wasn't going to talk to you guys this week because how many ways can I say we suck? How many ways can I say it's this person's fault that we need to do this right? I'd be regurgitating something I've either already said or something somebody else has already said. And I don't want to do that because I respect y'all time. But what'll happen is I'll be working out. I'll be doing something around the house, outside the house, inside the house, whatever the case may be. You know, you want some entertainment to make the time go by. So I'll listen to a show. I'll listen to a podcast. I'll jump in the forum. I'll jump in the Discord. And I start to hear things, and these things really start to piss me off. Because there are people who try to sway the way others think. They'll have listeners, they'll have viewers, and they'll try to sway the way they think for reasons I'm not really sure of. And that, y'all have no idea how much that pisses me off. Like, I've stopped watching the alphabet networks for these reasons, right? Because of the narrative they try to steer. And I want you all to know, I want you to all come on in, everybody sit down. I want y'all to know that it's okay. It's okay to point the finger at somebody when something goes wrong. Because usually it's somebody's fucking fault. And I don't see enough people holding Mike Norvell accountable. Now, this isn't a Mike Norvell needs to be fired show, right? That's not going to happen. People let that ship sail. They've invested too much money into him. That's not going to happen. But this is a show that's going to tell you, I told you this the last time we spoke, trust your eyes. Trust what you see in front of you. There are people who are afraid to say he's a bad coach. Because for the most part, he's not. Because he's shown progress the entire time he's been in Florida State with the exception of this season. 3 wins, 5 wins, 10 wins, 13 wins. In those seasons, he was what he was. If you want to say he was a suck-ass coach during the COVID year, then he was a suck-ass coach during the COVID year. If you want to say he was trash, starting 0-4 and going 5-7, then he was trash. If you want to say he was a decent coach, he was starting to turn the corner at 10-3, I'm okay with that. If you want to say he was the best coach in college football last season, I don't know if I'd agree with that, but I wouldn't fight you against it, okay? You have these conversations or you make these labels on a season-by-season basis. This season, he fucking sucks. And it's okay to say that. Because I think sometimes you become a fan of something or someone and you want to back that something or someone to the ends of the fucking earth. It's also okay to tell the goddamn truth and just simply say what you see. I haven't seen enough people merely discuss what they are seeing. I don't want to be one of them people. And it's not just him. Like we've discussed this before. If you're a fan of this channel, and if you are, God bless you. I appreciate you. I really truly do. But if you're a fan of this channel and you've been with me since the inception of it all, if you remember, I used to come on here every blessed week and you talk about beating a dead horse. That's when I was really regurgitating and trying to find different ways to say the same shit because I was screaming it from the mountaintop. The problem with Florida State at that time, I'm talking about towards the end of the jumbo, after 2013 up until maybe last season. That's not fair. After 2014 up until, I say about 3 seasons ago, Florida State had an issue. And the issue was, I thought the powers that be, the people who make these decisions, the important decisions, they didn't get it. They were not bought in. They weren't willing to do what it took to play big boy football. My problem was with them. And if you look at it, between the Willie Taggart firing and the Mike Norvell hiring, I was a person who was beating the drum saying we needed Bob Stoops. And it's not because of Bob Stoops' resume. It's because of what it meant if you got him. Because if you were going to get a Bob Stoops, you were going to have to commit a lot of resources to football. You were going to have to make this in terms of support a top tier program, because Bob wasn't going to allow anything lesser than that. That's why I wanted Bob so bad. Not because I think he's an elite X's and O's guy. Not because I think he's an A-list recruiter. Not saying that he's not. It was more so what it stood for. It was more so of, if we get Bob, I know we're moving in the right direction. Didn't get Bob. We got Mike. It's panned out sometimes. Sometimes it fucking hasn't. Right? Looking at Mike Norvell this season, I said this before. This isn't the team he was promised. At the end of the season last year, it's not the team he was said, he was promised, but it's also not a 1-16, which tells me there's been a bevy. I'm talking about a cesspool of bad decisions being made on Mike Norvell's part, on the field and off the field. And even for the things that aren't quote unquote his fault, or things he's probably not directly tied to, he is the ruler over all that he surveys. He is he's the head coach for the Florida State football program. So a lot of the blame is going to get tied to him, or at least it should be, and I'm okay with that. He gets paid enough for this blame to be at his goddamn feet. He gets paid a lot of goddamn money, right? Nobody is paying you to do a half-ass job. One of the most critical pieces of his job is being able to make the tough decisions. Scratch that. Part of his job is being able to make the correct tough decision, because nobody is paying you to lose games or do things that lead to you losing games. Mike Norvell needs to pick. Mike Norvell needs to pick what he's going to do this season. Whether I agree with it or not, whether you agree with it or not, he needs to pick what he's going to do. He's either going to coach to win football games, or he's going to coach to salvage what's going to be 2025. I don't think you could draw up a picture that will make me say, hey, you know what, this makes sense, and you being able to do both. If it happens, then great, but I don't think you can do both. My opinion, if it were me, I'd be playing for 2025 right now. What does that mean, Smoke? I'm glad you asked. That's a great question. You're going to lose one of those two quarterbacks, whether it be Brock Glenn, whether it be Luke Cromenhawk. You're going to lose one of them. What Mike Norvell is doing right now is he's teetering the line of catastrophic blow-up. The catastrophic blow-up is him possibly losing both because of how he's handling this. If it were me, I'm picking one, and that's it. The one I'm picking is Luke Cromenhawk. It's nothing against Brock Glenn. Nothing. But right now, Luke was deemed the future of the program before he even stepped foot on campus. And I'm okay with that, right? You evaluated him, and that was an elite eval, depending on how depending on how it turns out. But right now, that was an elite eval because he ended up being a borderline 5-star quarterback. You got him when he was playing safety in high school, right? So I'm telling you that the person who I think has the more upside is Luke. The person who I think would be the face of the program, it would be Luke. The person who I think would probably save your recruiting class, it would be Luke. And it would save your recruiting class, possibly. Not save, salvage. Do some type of paramedic work to it. I think you'll be able to sell something to the goddamn recruits that you're speaking to, in the sense of, hey, listen, we're turning the page here at Florida State. Come be a part of that page turn. Versus, I'm being really indecisive and I don't really know what I want to do. I'm playing these kids. I'm playing the younger guys, but I'm only playing them sometimes, even though they probably deserve more playing time, right? You can't keep telling recruits that. Not saying that he is, but that's the message you're giving. Because if they're watching these games, and bless their heart if they are watching these games, you can't be the offensive guy and play Duke and not score any touchdowns, any offensive touchdowns. You can't be the offensive guy and not be able to see when there's an opportunity for somebody else to play because this guy is costing you games or this guy is costing you games. What do I mean by that? Kyle Morlock cost you a football game. Continuing to play wide receivers who can't catch footballs cost you a football game Friday, right? It's your decision. Mike Norvell, that is your fault. It's somebody else's turn to drop passes. It really is. I don't know what B.J. Gibson can do. I've heard that he gives I heard he's on the practice squad and he gives those guys the blues, right? We don't know what he can do in the game because Mike won't fucking play him. Elijah Moore had the fall on fire based off of his upside and some of the things he was doing in practice. We don't know how many footballs he can drop in the game because we can't fucking see him. We can see Kentron Portier drop touchdowns. We can see, I don't know if Malik Benson would have scored on that pass he dropped, but he would have gotten pretty close to the goddamn end zone. This isn't the first time I've seen Kentron or Malik drop a goddamn football. It's not the first time I've seen Hakeem drop a football. It's somebody else's turn to drop footballs. You're playing losers. And I don't mean that in a derogatory sense. I'm saying you're playing people who are going to make you lose football games. Can somebody explain to me why Jalen Early is playing right guard and not right tackle? Playing Jeremiah Byers is playing losing football. Just call it what it is. You see Jalen Brown hot dogging it down the sideline after an interception. One of your speed guys, one of the guys who you came in for one single solitary purpose, which was speed. He shouldn't have played after that play anymore because he doesn't want to win. That was not a winning play. You're not playing winning players. You're playing loser players. You're playing players who are going to cause you to lose. If you are not going to catch footballs, that's an adverse. You're adverse to winning at that point. If you're not going to chase down wide DBs who catch interceptions, that's adverse to winning. You're not going to win football games with those guys. But in press conferences and every time he's in front of the media, Mike Norvell either says or he gives off the impression of a person who wants to continue to try to win football games. How the hell do you do that when Lawrence Toafili is probably your best offensive player? He was the hot hand, and you're driving down the field. Mike got me mad. You're driving down the field to potentially win or tie the game. You take him out, even though he was the hot hand. You put in a true freshman. True freshman fumbles the goddamn football. Game over. That wasn't a winning decision. Of course, you can't predict fumbling, but I do know that guy, Lawrence Toafili, he's solid. You're not giving Lawrence Toafili enough touches. You're not getting Ja'Kai Douglas more touches. These are guys who you can depend on. Every week, Ja'Kai Douglas makes a catch that I didn't think he could make. In 4th and 2, why is Cam? I not get it. Cam Davis is a hard guy, a hard kid to rain down. He's built like a goddamn tree stump. Vision over power. If there's a hole to be found, Lawrence Toafili is A, going to find it, and B, he's going to fall forward. There's no indecision about his running style. He's going to get where he needs to be, unless, of course, the goddamn offensive line is blown up. You want vision in those situations. Not the true freshman who played quarterback in high school. Adverse to winning. You can't continue to tell us that you want to win football games and you're letting these guys play. You're making these types of decisions. You follow me? If you want to, you can't fix this season, right? This season is fucking done. Give Luke the ball. And you got people who were saying, off a small sample size, he looked like a deer in headlights. How the fuck was he supposed to look? His very first goddamn, I'm talking about very first series, right? Not fuck the game, very first series, you have people who are trying to dissect that and break it down. How the hell was he supposed to look? Of course the goddamn game is going to go by fast for him. It was his first time out there. Hello, on the road no less. Down a couple of scores. He was going to look scared, worried, nervous, unsure. I also saw Luke Hawk throw two of the more impressive passes that any goddamn quarterback for Florida State has thrown this season. The upside is there, right? Well, you don't want to get him back there and you don't want to break him. What the fuck does that mean? And since when has Mike Norvell cared about that shit? I saw Jordan Travis line up at running back against Jacksonville State. The same Jordan Travis that ended up being a Heisman finalist a few years later. You didn't give a, and he got benched for a person with one leg. You didn't give a shit about breaking him then. Why the hell do you care about breaking somebody now? If you are playing the quarterback position in college football, if you're playing the quarterback position anywhere, if you can be easily broken or if your confidence can be shaken, you probably don't need to be playing quarterback. And at the very least, it's fine because we're going to live with whatever your mistakes are because we really playing for next year. What do you mean by that, Smoke? What I'm telling you is you going to be saying all this when you have a 4-interception game. You're right. I would rather that 4-interception game this season than a 4-interception game next season. You follow me? Let's get those lumps out right now. Let's give him confidence going into next season. You're the guy. This is your program. We're going to live and die with you. We are going to build an offense around you. You can't keep telling me that you want to win, Mike, when you took out the quarterback who had 3 consecutive turnovers and put him back in and take out the quarterback who had not only did he not have any turnovers, he showed you at least he can get the goddamn ball down the field. At least he has some escapability, right? Tell me how that shows you want to win a football game. For every sense of the term, you literally went backwards. By putting Brock Glenn in from what you had seen in that game, by putting him back in, you went backwards. Whatever the likelihood or whatever the odds are of you tying and winning that game, shrank considerably based off what you saw from Brock Glenn. And I get it. Luke was only supposed to play a couple of snaps. So however many snaps he played, that was already designed the week prior. I get it. The offensive coach had a bye week and could not score an offensive touchdown against Duke. This season, Mike is a bad coach. This season, Mike is one of the worst coaches in Power 5 football. He's shown us week after week after week questionable personnel decisions, questionable play calling, being bad situationally. Somebody just take me back to after the first drive against Georgia Tech when I was a happy and I was a proud Florida State fan. Please just take me back to that. Roydale Williams had no business starting over Lawrence Toward Philly. None. Roydale Williams started over Lawrence Toward Philly because it was a promise you made to him when you signed him. That was it. Can't nobody tell me no different. Lawrence is faster. Lawrence has better vision. If they're going to be a combo tandem, then fine. But I'm telling you, he's going for 2 when you probably had no business going for 2. Going for 4th down when it's clear this team struggled to score points. You should probably take the points in the field goal, but here you are going for it. He's done things that have made Florida State lose repeatedly. And I hate to pile on him, but we have to say, I'll say this, in his defense, we've shown what he can do when you actually give him something to work with. Bad coaches don't have ACC championship winning seasons with 3 quarterbacks, right? We've seen what he can do when you actually give him something to work with. So it's up to the collectives, it's up to the boosters, it's up to the administration to give him a good product. Not saying that this is a 1-6 product, right? We've already established he's being a shit coach this season, but I'm just saying, at some point, I am sick of saying this shit on this fucking show. At some point, in order to win, you are going to have to pay. Ohio State gets it. They ain't got shit to show for their goddamn money. At least as far as the national championship, at least not since Urban was there, but they pay. Alabama, they get it. Them motherfuckers pay. Georgia, come on, man. Clemson, LSU, they get it. They devote an exorbitant amount of resources to winning, not just to the fucking program to throw around, but to win. You know what? I remember when Mario Cristobal became the head coach at the University of Coral Gables. And I told you all, man, that's going to be a problem. And everybody was like, nah, man, you tripping. Mario sucks as a coach. He's blah, blah this and he's blah, blah that. I don't give a shit. I didn't say he was a goddamn genius. What I do know is Mario will recruit the socks off your ass. And that's what I was speaking of. And I made myself very clear when I said it. At that point, Florida State needed to get out of a rut. The number one way at that time was to do it via the portal or be recruiting. I said that Mario and Mike were going to be, they were going to literally go head to head for blue chip prospects. And being that Mike Norvell doesn't have the recruiting chops that a Mario Cristobal does, Mario was going to end up getting those kids. And what the fuck has happened? Call me a goddamn prophet. He has stuffed Mike in the locker more times than we probably want to admit. Let's go look at the last two recruiting classes. This is where, listen, you talk about buy-in. The last thing I think we wanted to see was Miami do well because they are financially committed, right? So now you have proof of concept. You can actually sell somebody something now, right? They were able to sell bullshit with an idiot of a fucking head coach. Now they're winning. How the rest of the season is going to finish out, I don't know. But right now they're winning. They have even more to sell now when they was already whooping Florida State's ass in recruiting. If they end up winning an ACC title, have an impressive showing in the college football playoff, assuming they get that far. Do you know what they're going to do to Florida State on the trail after that? At some point, you're going to have to commit some type of financial. Cam Ward is one of these financial stories we're talking about. You look at what they paid DJ, what Miami ended up paying Cam. Look at the seasons. Look at how vastly different these seasons are. And I'm not even saying Miami is a great program this season, but they are undefeated. Like Duke isn't a great program, but they've only lost one game. Florida State couldn't beat the motherfuckers. Florida State couldn't score on them. That's just how bad things have gotten. That's just where we are right now as a program at the moment. Mike is going to have to choose which one he's going to do. I've given you my opinion because right now it seems as if he sucks at trying to win football games. Let's go ahead and fully commit to the future. And I mean fully commit. Let somebody else whiff on blocks. Let somebody else drop goddamn passes. It's somebody else's turn. Go ahead and tell Luke it's your show. Tell the people who sign these checks, hey, you want to get out of this? This is what I'm going to need. And if I don't get it, I will make sure I'm not to blame for not getting it. I don't know what other way I don't know what other way or what other avenue you can travel to go down getting Florida State out of this fucking hole. Because right now it's the size of the goddamn Grand Canyon. It's all the time I'm giving you. It's all the time I got. Appreciate y'all, man. You can reach me at the Hot Seat 19 on Twitter. You can reach me at the Hot Seat 19 on Instagram. I'm working on I'm working on getting somebody to come here. He's already agreed to it. The schedule just gonna have to align for us to do a show, but it's gonna be a really good guest, man. But the moment I get it together, you guys be the first people to see it. Again. I cannot thank you enough if you decided to watch this show. If you decided to press play and watch me, especially if you got this far, from the bottom, top of the middle of my heart, I appreciate you. When you like these shows, man, it goes a long way. When you subscribe, it goes a long way. Share this content with people who you may think enjoy it. Y'all know how we get down in the comments. If I didn't get to you last week, I apologize. It was pretty busy for me. But again, man, I thank y'all. And oh man, Miami gonna beat the shit out of as they should, man. It's a rivalry game, but if anything changed, man, I'll be back next week. Y'all be good, man. You are officially off the hot seat.